Payday. There's no better sound than the notification you get when your paycheck finally hits your bank account. For a moment, all your financial stress disappears. But over the weekend, you play an expensive round of golf, only to shoot 105, buy a new driver because, of course, that's the real issue with your golf game, go out for some drinks with your buddies, and eat out at a nice restaurant. Monday morning comes around, and before you know it, you've already burned through half of your paycheck, and you still have your rent, food, debts, and other recurring bills to cover. Unfortunately, this is the reality for the majority of people. Maybe instead of a round of golf and a new driver, it's a nail appointment and a brand new pair of shoes. Regardless, many individuals at all different income levels struggle to understand where their money goes each month and end up living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sure you've all heard the quote, failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you don't have a consistent payday routine, you'll always be playing behind the eight ball. When you have a payday routine, you start to go on the offensive by taking control and directing where your money goes right away, instead of always playing defense by always reacting to your bills and expenses. And so in this video, I'm going to cover the 8 things you need to do as soon as you get paid so that you can take full control of your finances and start building long-term wealth. If you're new here, hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a certified public accountant and former financial analyst. And on this channel, we talk all things personal finance. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Step 1, define and cover your financial baseline. Your financial baseline is a sum of all your monthly expenses needed to survive. So things like your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, and all minimum debt payments, whether that be student loans, car loans, credit card debt, etc. All of these essential expenses should ideally be less than 50% of your income if you want to start building real wealth. Now, I understand this target may not be feasible for everyone, especially as prices for essentials have grown faster than wages over the last few years. And so if you can't currently meet the 50% target, just try your best to keep your needs as low as possible. Chances are there are things you can do to bring down your essential costs, but it may require a bit of sacrifice. For example, you may need a car to get to and from work, but you don't need the latest brand new model. And with the increased cost of living in many cities nowadays, living with a roommate or two can often save you hundreds of dollars a month. Now, I understand maybe you don't want to cut back anymore, and to each their own, but it is worth at least contemplating areas where you can potentially save money here if it won't impact the quality of your life too much. And that's because the last thing you want is to have all your money going towards your needs and have nothing else left to play with. And so once you know your financial baseline, subtract it from your monthly income to see exactly how much you have left over. This remaining portion is where we can really start being strategic and making the most of our money. Now, once you cover all your basic needs, the focus should then shift to tackling the high interest debt you may have. High interest debt is truly like a cancerous tumor in the way it silently and aggressively grows, draining your financial health over time if left untreated. High interest debts are debts with interest rates higher than 8% or so things like credit card debt, personal loans, or payday loans. Now, the reason I have this step before any savings is because the cost of high interest debt always outpaces the gains from any savings account. So why bother putting money into a savings account with a 4% return when you can have a guaranteed 20+% return by paying off your high interest debt that's constantly eating into your wealth every single day? Now, there are 2 main methods to attack your high interest debt: the avalanche method and the snowball method. With both methods, you still want to pay the minimum monthly balance, which is part of your financial baseline in step 1, so that your credit score doesn't completely tank. But after that, with the avalanche method, you focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first. And once you pay off that debt in full, you move on to the debt with the next highest interest rate, and so on and so forth. Now, with the snowball method, after paying the minimum monthly balance on all your debts, you focus on attacking the debt with the smallest balance first, regardless of the interest rates. And once the first debt is paid off, you move on to the debt with the next smallest balance, and so on. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, won't this cost you more in the long run? Yes, it will, but personal finance is quite behavioral, and with this method, you typically get quicker wins. The idea is that paying off a small debt completely feels good, builds momentum, and keeps you motivated to pay off the next one. There are split opinions on which method is better, but the truth is, the best method is the one that you'll actually stick with. You know yourself better than anyone else, so if you need those small wins to consistently pay off your debt, go with the snowball method. And if you're someone who thinks very logically and are self-motivated to pay down all your debts, then go with the avalanche method. So let me show you how the math plays out between the two methods, assuming you consistently pay $500 each month, regardless of the method. Let's say you have 3 different debts. Debt 1 is from credit card A with a balance of $5,000 and an interest rate of 25%. Debt 2 is a personal loan of $4,000 with a 30% interest rate. And debt 3 is from credit card B with a balance of $3,000 with an interest rate of 20%. If you use the avalanche method, you would first attack debt number 2 until it's fully paid off, as it's the one with the highest interest rate. This would take about 10 months and you'll have ended up paying $518.64 in interest. After this, you would attack debt number 1 and it would take another 14 months to fully pay off, and you would have paid a total of $2,008.66 in interest on this debt. And then finally, you would attack debt number 3, which would take another 9 months and accrue interest of $1,788.50. And so with the avalanche method, you would be debt-free in 33 months and have paid a total of $4,315.80 in interest. Now with the snowball method, you start with debt number 3 as this has the lowest balance, and you would have fully paid this debt off in 7 months and have paid interest of $188.05. You would then move on to debt number 2, which would take another 11 months to fully pay off, having paid $1,399.54 of interest. And then finally, you would tackle debt number 1, which would take another 17 months to pay down, with the amount of interest paid on that debt of $3,540.66. So with this method, it would take you 35 months and cost $5,128.25 in total interest, which is over $800 more interest paid than the avalanche method. And so all else equal, the avalanche method is the more logical approach. But again, you need to ask yourself, would you stay just as consistent without those quick wins with the snowball method? All right, now that you've set aside some money with every paycheck to tackle high interest debt, the next area to allocate some of your paycheck is your emergency fund. An emergency fund is a cash reserve that's specifically set aside for unplanned expenses or financial emergencies. It essentially protects you from getting into debt to cover those unexpected expenses, such as a car repair, a home repair, medical bills, or job loss. And when it comes to these unexpected financial emergencies, it often feels like when it rains, it pours, and that you're hit with multiple unexpected things all at once. And so a fully fleshed out emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months worth of your financial baseline you calculated in step 1. So if you spend $2,000 on monthly essential living expenses, your emergency fund should ideally have between $6,000 and $12,000. Now you want to store this money somewhere it can be accessible and ideally earning some interest, so I always recommend a high yield savings account. I recently made a separate video on the best high yield savings accounts currently on the market, so I'll be sure to link that video down in the description. Now, step number 4 of your payday routine is investing in tax advantage retirement investment accounts. I know investing for retirement when you're young isn't naturally something you want to think about, but just hear me out. Let's say you start investing $500 each month at the age of 20. Assuming an average annual return of 7% to be conservative, by age 60, you would have made total contributions of $240,000, but check this out, you would have accrued over $1 million of investment gains, bringing your total balance to just over $1.3 million. That right there is the power of leveraging time and compound interest. Now, there are 3 main tax advantage accounts in the US that I'll cover here today, which are the 401k, the Roth IRA, and the HSA, and this is the exact order I would contribute to them. Starting with the 401k, I would contribute just enough to get the full company match. So a 401k plan is an employer-sponsored retirement account. It allows you as an employee to contribute a portion of your paycheck to save for retirement. And oftentimes, employers will match part of your contributions up to a certain dollar amount or percentage. Your employer's 401k match structure usually considers 2 things: a percentage of your own contributions and a percentage of your salary. And so they will typically match 50 or 100% of your contributions up to a set percentage of your salary, typically 4 to 6%. So let's say you make $80,000 a year and your employer match structure is 100% of your contributions up to 5% of your salary. Essentially, this means that if you contribute 5% of your salary or $4,000 into your 401k, then your employer is going to match that and contribute another $4,000 on your behalf, giving you a 100% return on your money. This 401k match is literally a part of your compensation package, and so by not contributing up to the full company match, you're literally leaving money on the table and not receiving your full compensation. So you definitely want to contribute enough to at least get the full company match. And if you choose to go with a traditional 401k plan, you also get a tax deduction when you file your taxes for the amount you contributed to your 401k. So with my previous example, if you made $80,000 a year and contributed 5% of your salary, or $4,000, your taxable income would decrease from $80,000 to $76,000. Now, after contributing enough to your 401k to get the full company match, the next place to allocate some of your paycheck is to a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is a type of individual retirement account that allows you to put after-tax dollars towards your retirement. And since you contribute to the account with after-tax dollars, the main benefit is that your contributions and the earnings on those contributions grow tax-free and can be withdrawn tax-free after the age of 59 and a half. So if the funds in your Roth IRA end up to be, let's say, $5 million at retirement, you can withdraw all $5 million without having to pay any taxes on it. Now, the Roth IRA is so good that they have restrictions on how much you can contribute every year and also restrict individuals who make a certain amount of income. So in 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 in your Roth IRA, and if you're age 50 or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000. When it comes to the income limits, in 2025, single filers whose income is more than $165,000 and married couples filing jointly making more than $246,000 unfortunately cannot contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, there is a workaround for those high income earners by using a strategy called the backdoor Roth IRA, which requires you to contribute to a traditional IRA and then convert it to a Roth account, but that's a whole separate topic for another video. Now, this next tax advantage account will not apply to everyone, but it may just be the most underrated, which is the health savings account. So if you're not aware, HSAs are tools that pair with eligible high deductible health insurance plans meant to make saving up for that higher deductible less painful. The great thing about investing through your HSA is that you get a triple tax benefit, meaning your contributions lower your taxable income for the year, the money grows tax deferred, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses aren't taxed at all. On top of that, your HSA can also serve as a retirement account because after you reach the age of 65, you can also withdraw the money in your HSA for non-medical expenses. You'll just pay taxes on those non-medical expense withdrawals like you would with a traditional 401k. Now, the contribution limit to an HSA in 2025 is $4,300 for individual coverage and $8,550 for family coverage. And for individuals age 55 or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000. And contributions to your HSA are also tax deductible, meaning your taxable income can be reduced by the amount of your HSA contributions for the year. Now, after all those tax advantage options, it's typically time to allocate some of your paycheck to invest through a regular taxable brokerage account. So this is opening up a brokerage account with a brokerage firm such as Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Robinhood, or Vanguard, and investing in assets such as individual stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs, for example. Now, if you're not into analyzing companies' financial statements and actively researching and staying on top of company news and trends, a great way to invest in a well-diversified portfolio is investing in low-cost index funds or ETFs that track the S&P 500 or the total stock market. The S&P 500 has a historical annual return of approximately 10% per year, which actually outperforms the majority of fund managers. And so if people that do this for a living underperform against the market, there's a strong likelihood that you will too. And so a very low risk option would be to invest in broad market ETFs like Vanguard's VOO or VTI. And then the smart passive investing strategy is to simply dollar cost average, which means investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, for example, every paycheck, into these ETFs or index funds, and let compound interest do its thing. And that's because time in the market beats trying to time the market. All right, now step number 6 in your paycheck routine is investing into specific savings goals. While prioritizing retirement investing and other investing first is crucial to take full advantage of time and compound interest, saving for specific life goals in the shorter term is also extremely important. Depending on your life stage, this can be saving for a vacation next year, saving for your wedding, or saving for a down payment on a home, just to name a few. I recommend putting these savings in a high-yield savings account, and two in particular that are great for saving for specific goals are SoFi's and Ally Bank's high-yield savings accounts. And that is because both have product features that allow you to set specific savings categories and track your progress within each category, which is great for visualizing your savings and helping you stay motivated. Now, once you've allocated some of your paycheck to the first 6 areas, this next step is optional depending on your risk appetite, and that is investing in higher risk, higher reward assets such as crypto or growth stocks. If you do choose to invest in riskier assets, it's best for it to be a very small portion of your overall investing portfolio, and with money you can afford to potentially lose. Now, if you do decide to, always make sure you're doing your own research and actually know what you're investing in. Don't just invest in something because someone tells you it's a unicorn or going to the moon, because these types of assets are highly speculative and extremely volatile, and no one knows for certain how these assets will perform over time. And then the last place to allocate your paycheck, but still just as critical as all the other steps, is for fun discretionary spending. Again, I want to reiterate, just because this is the last place your paycheck goes to, doesn't mean it's any less crucial. It's essential to build fun spending into the plan, otherwise the routine will feel too restrictive and we're less likely to stick with it long term. After all, in order for your payday routine to be effective, it has to be sustainable. But the reason I put this as a last step is psychological, so that we can spend the rest of the money remaining on the things we love without feeling any sense of guilt or anxiety. If we know we already prioritize tackling our debt, having an emergency fund, and investing for the future, think about how much more we can now enjoy spending on golf, date nights, shopping, or whatever else brings us joy. Now, because you've stuck around to the end, a bonus tip I have is to put this all on autopilot by setting up an automated system. If you link all your accounts to your main checking account that receives your paycheck and set up autopay and automatic transfers, you no longer have to manually shuffle things around every month, saving you time and effort. So how mine is set up is that it starts with my paycheck going into my checking account. And for me, my 401k contribution is already taken out before I get my take-home pay. Now, since I don't have any high interest debt and have a fully stocked emergency fund, I essentially have 7 separate accounts that have automated inflows coming from my checking account. The first is to my Roth IRA account, where I contribute about 5% of my take-home pay for retirement. The second is to my HSA account, because I am currently enrolled in a high deductible health plan with my company. The third is my Vanguard investment account, where I dollar cost average into S&P 500 and total stock market index funds. The fourth is my Robinhood brokerage account, where I invest in a handful of individual stocks. The fifth is my savings account, where I currently am saving for my future wedding and a down payment on a home. The sixth is to all my credit card accounts, where I set up autopay for all my credit card balances in full every month for spending on groceries, transportation, restaurants, and all my discretionary spending. And the last is for any other spending that I don't use with my credit cards, which include things like rent and utilities. The best part about automating my payday routine is that I don't ever have to think twice about whether I paid my bills, invested for my future, or save for any shorter term goals, because I know that everything is on autopilot. Now, I do review my finances every month to make sure everything is running smoothly, but even that requires very little maintenance. Now, one thing I want to mention about this payday routine in general is that once you completely fill a few of these buckets, you no longer have to think about those steps in your routine and now have more of your income that you can allocate to other things. So just because you're aggressively attacking your high interest debt right now, once all that is paid off and your emergency is fully funded, you will start to see just how much more you can allocate to investments, savings, and of course, discretionary spending. Now, hopefully this video was helpful. And again, if you want to know which savings accounts you should keep your emergency fund and short-term savings goals in, be sure to click this video here. Now, that's all for this video. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.